Tēnā koutou katoa, kia ora and welcome to another Manawanui live stream. My name is Simon and today I have the privilege of hosting the Now and Next crew. I've got some lovely ladies who are working to help instill some additional capabilities and capacity within our whānaus to help our disabled members of the community and our families. And I'm really excited to have them on to speak with you all today about the work that they're doing and how it may be of benefit to those of you who are watching. So just quickly, we have Anik Jensen as well as Erim and Janine from Now and Next. They are either the founders or also the facilitators and parents of disabled children as well. So I will hand it over to Anik to begin the introductions, and then we'll just go around the digital room to say hello, and then of course we'll get stuck into the rest of the live stream. But to anybody who is watching, if you have any questions about what we're talking about, please just pop it into the comment section. The ladies are very happy to pivot to whatever is of interest. So if you have a question, just drop it in the comments and we will pick it up straight away. So without further ado, over to you, Anik.
Hi everyone. So introducing myself is firstly, I'm a mother like you. Started that journey. However, I started my professional journey before, and I was a clinical psychologist and specializing in the field of disability. And then my third child came up with a gift of a spectrum story and really taught me everything from scratch from what I had learned in psychology. So as a parent, if I was to ask myself, what is one thing, if I had one opportunity to talk to another parent, what would I say about my journey? And what I would say is, you are the one who make the most difference to your child. Professionals come and go, and they have an important role to play, but we are the ones in charge. And good that we talk to Manawanui in charge, because you are the expert and you know your child best. So what's the issue? Well, the challenge is that we get different messages from professionals and people in organizations that we work with. Let's say, for instance, have you ever been told, oh, you'll have to go on a waiting list, or your child may never be able to walk, talk, be independent, dot, 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 fill the gaps, or your child is not, dot, 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 at school. So if these messages sound familiar, then what you need to know is that these messages are called deficit messages. And they're all about what is not, what your child is not. And we feel that this is not the right way to approach our children, because they have a gift to bring to us. And we're not trying to make round pegs into square holes, or whatever the expression is, excuse my French. Uh, what we are trying to do is we're trying to actually bring this gift out. Our role is to be able to help our child bring their gift out. And so what we need to find is what is, not what is not. So we turn to positive psychology, the science of well-being, which is a strength-based theory, to explain to us and how we do this. Simon, if you could bring up that illustration. So when we did our research, we found that there's the situation in which we find ourselves when we're in the deficit model is we're thinking about disability is a disadvantage, that we have to fight for our rights, and that we don't know what is not. And that's, if you imagine a seesaw in a balance, that and then we are also told that there's people who are experts. So when we find out that there might be a challenge with our child, or that our child has a disability, we're very destabilized, because that is a difficult message to hear, probably the most difficult for a parent. And so we feel overwhelmed by it. And that could bring the balance down towards the left side of... Simon, are you able to bring up that visual? Okay, that could bring that balance down towards, and it could cause people to give their control away to experts, because if experts know best, please tell me what to do. However, what we found is that we have to rebalance the situation. And we can do this with our thinking about strength, our strength, the strength of our child. And this is where we can start. This is not to say that we're going to ignore the things that our children can't do for now, but we feel and we know, we're backed by theory, that if we start with what is working and we strengthen that, that actually is the best way to go. So, there are situations in which you could find yourself. Thank you, Simon. There are situations in which you could find yourself that you can rebalance this, and sometimes there are programs that can help you do this. Or, sometimes you talk to a friend and the friend brings up a situation and an example that helps you rebalance. So thinking backwards, when now my child is 30, about what program would have been helpful for me, and working together with my Australian colleague Silvana Mamik, we came across with a workshop which we called Now and Next, and it's got different levels, different age groups. So there's a few of them, there's a suite of them. And we put out our best first guest, but afterwards we co-designed it with the first few hundred parents that did it. I think that we already probably have over 900 parents that did it around the world. But it was very much co-designed and very much influenced by what the parents were saying. So the thing is, if you're thinking, oh, I don't have time for this, my life is too busy, or if you're thinking, I don't need anything for myself, I just want something to happen to my child / my brother / my family member, or if you're thinking, I don't have enough individualized funding, think again, because a small number in session with like-minded parents and a positive psychology activities is time well spent. What if you were coached to apply new skills during your everyday life, not going to therapy and do this? So this is about doing things as life is happening. What if you were more focused, and you could get better help from professional as a result of having learned new skills? You cannot actually afford to run yourself into the ground if you say, no, I don't need anything for myself, because what would happen to you and your child if you burn out? So we can't. That's why we turn to the science of well-being. We want strong parents, empowered parents. And, what about our resources? In a program like this one, you can use your resources better. So you can use your IF better. So I will now pass over to Aram, who is one of the first mothers who did the program in New Zealand, 2018. You're on mute, Aram.
Thank you so much, Anik, and kia ora, everyone. I'm joining today from Hamilton. I'm a mother of with 3 kids and blessed to have a 8-year-old autistic son. So being a mother, I can connect with most of the families who are watching this today. So our journey started with a lot of worries and concerns, and I obviously had that guilt of being at fault. Something was not right. That was the only question. And to add to this, there was a very little hope from the professionals on what lies in our child's future. Basically, the only thing that they could help with is direct to organization where you can go find some help. And just being in the family, I felt that things were not working together as a family. We were not doing things together, not having fun together, and it was hard to find what was like best for our family. So we came across this amazing Now and Next program when it was first piloted in New Zealand, and we did it along with 23 other parents who were amazing. We came together face to face, and it was a completely game changer for us. Like, we definitely moved, like our mindset moved from that deficit model where we always thought we can't do, can't do this, or not being able to, our son not being able to talk. From those worries to having a very strength-based model, like we were focusing on what our son is good at. um, Even before I helped my child, I realized that I need to first help myself and understand where my strengths are. How Anik said, we need to first fill our own cup, and then you can obviously pour from it. So I understood where I need to work on, where my strengths are, and that the program has definitely given me tools for that. And during the program, we learn to come together as a family to plan some goals, work on it, make some small achievable steps for ourselves, and celebrate those achievements, which has brought a lot of happiness for me, for my children, and my husband. Um, the outcome of this program is we were trained as facilitators for the program, and fast forward 4 years from there, we are still we still have our own new goals going on. Our son is 8 now, so he's started mainstream school, which is amazing, and I get to meet a lot of parents who are on the similar journey and learn from them. Yeah, thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, Aram.
So,
Over to Janine.
so it's all about me, peeps, lucky last. So I'm going to talk about the facilitation side of things. My daughter had a physical disability whereby the only thing that wasn't going to crap out in her body was her brain. So doing this program like Erin really made a big difference to the way we think about her challenges, her needs, and stop thinking about the deficit side of things and start thinking about the positive things. So like Erin, I went through this program as well, and then we became these peer facilitators. So now it's the key thing for this program is it's by whānau for whānau, which is really, really important, I think, when you consider that, choice and control and empowerment sits with us, and that's what this program's about. So the things, I just wanted to talk about the things that I've noticed on this program, where, like at the start, we notice that families, whānau, start off in that maxed out state, and it's like, oh, and what, when, why, how, what are you going to do for me? All of that kind of stuff. And then it's like, as you go through the program and we're introducing you to new thoughts and ideas, you start to see the positive psychology aspects, and we encourage you to use them and then talk about them when you come through into the next session and the next session. So you're building upon what you've experienced in session in your own everyday life and bringing it back and saying, well, this worked really well. I listened to this person, that bit didn't quite work so well, but I'm going to maybe change it up a little bit and do this because I think this is going to work for my family. So that's part of it, big part of it. And then we see you guys start to move into a stage where things don't seem to be quite so overwhelming, where it's like, oh, it does sit with me, and I do have some input into this, and I can consider things in a slightly different way. And then we see all of ourselves, myself included, as the facilitator, begin to take more control, and we support each other so much more. And what I love about this is that I see you guys on your journey and how well you begin to relate to each other, and then it further cements what happens in my world. So as a cohort, as a group, it's a new dynamic every time, and we see ourselves develop and grow, and someone will be having a problem in this session, and then they'll be resolving it and talking about it, and somebody else will say, well, I heard you, it wasn't quite the same for me, but it worked in this way for me, or I really feel for you, darling, and it's just a couple of years down the track from where I was, and all of that kind of stuff comes through. And then my role as a facilitator is to just introduce you to those concepts and then just keep you to time. I'm like, I'm sorry, but we need to bring it back for the next, bundle of joy. So, that's where I see it as really positive. It's not always, happy, joy. Sometimes we have people that are genuinely stuck and, have their moments, but the really beautiful thing about this program is that we then sort of like support each other and go, darling, I've been there, or I'm with you, or I'm with you now. And sometimes the tears are from all of us, and sometimes it's one of us, and we're just saying we love you, girl, or sir, you know. So it's really, really loving and supportive in there. So one of the thing is, you know, there's a lot of teamwork with all of this. So Erin and I work together a lot on these programs. She's behind the scenes. She sends you all the emails and all of that kind of stuff. Her husband is one of the facilitators, and so is she. And we have a whole raft of other facilitators. So sometimes, you know, we do that, you know, peer facilitation, so that, you know, you might not love me and all my bubbliness, but you'll love Mello, who's very circular in the way he says things, and Erin in the way she does things. And, you know, we have that really interesting dynamic that does help engage you. So one of the things I just want to end with for me is like the things that whānau say during the program are, it's been such a long time since I've considered what my child is good at, which is, you know, really, really powerful for us as facilitators when we hear this, because we've been through it. But then to hear it is just like, yeah, not just me then, which is really cool. Another one is I really enjoy going to my child's school and feel that I have something to bring to the conversation rather than waiting to be told. Another one is looking forward to meeting with the professionals with more confidence, those in Ministry of Health sometimes, or other professionals in our world. And the final comment that I want to leave you is with this looking forward. Loved working with other parents that get it, rather than feeling like I'm the only one with a child with needs in my circle of friends. So our questions to you are, like we've talked about, empowerment and choice and control as outcomes, and how they rest with ourselves as whānau. But the key thing is to understand that this is for your child or children with needs, their siblings, yourself, and your partners, whānau surrounding you, and community surrounding you as well. So from here, we just want to hear what specifically would you want to know? The nitty gritty of the programs, or how and when they're delivered, or what's the bang for your buck other than empowerment, choice, control in a positive light. So yeah, I guess over to you, Simon. Or Annie, do you want to finish off? Sorry.
No, I'm just happy to roll with the conversation. Are there any question from Simon's side?
Simon speaking. So I don't have anything from the comments, but I personally have a question, and I think will benefit quite a few people. So with the way that individualized funding has worked in the past, it has been, like you said, a deficit-based model. Is what are your struggles? What are the challenges in your life, and how can we fund you to overcome those challenges? But with Enabling Good Lives and Mana Whai Kaha, and the way the system is transforming, there's a change that's happening right now, where these assessment organisations have been instructed to be more outcomes focused, and have a more positive planning focus when they're creating their individualised funding allocations. So how would attending some of these programs benefit the families who are then having to change the whole conversation with these assessors to access fundings? And how can, I guess, having a better understanding of a plan and the future and the milestones that they want for their children benefit them when it comes to getting an assessment for funding?
I love the question. Our programs start with a plan, using a planning tool that's strength-based. People, if you register for the workshop, you get this box in the mail. It's called Pictability, and it helps you as a game to make goals and to plan goals, and that is the perfect way to enter an outcome-based situation. Also because it's very difficult. You know, you receive. I remember the first time I received my IF, it was really great, but then like, okay, now what do I do with it? Like, where do I go? Where do I start? And that was, you know, that is a perfect way to start, because you talk about long-term goals, short-term goals. Janine is showing something. Go ahead, Janine, and explain also.
So one of the key things for me is I actually started formulating these goals, and one of them for my daughter was independence, and that's huge, right? But every time I started to talk to our connector about what you could and couldn't do, there was a reason why it couldn't be done. But I had much more confidence to say, no, you need to go back and really think about this, because okay, so one of the examples was my daughter independence. I wanted my daughter to learn to drive because I believe that every female is so much more empowered when they learn to drive. They just don't feel so dependent or trapped by someone else. It's got nothing to do with disability. I think it's vital. That's me personally. So I wanted my daughter to learn to drive. And when I spoke to her connector, she said, no, she had the opportunity to do that at high school, but she didn't. So opportunity lost. And when I said, well, they said that they couldn't do it because they didn't have a vehicle that was modified, so therefore she could learn through. They said, oh, we have to think about this. And then it put it through a trajectory towards her getting assessed, then working towards getting her license, the driving lessons. Then a couple of friends of hers gifted her a modified vehicle. Amazing. And then she got her license, and the key thing is that she was actually driving her peers around that she went to school with. They chose not to get their driver's license, and all of a sudden she was on a level with her peers rather than please take me here, please take me there, I'm in a wheelchair, I'm stuck. So that was one part of her independence. The other one was living on her own for a certain amount of time, etc., etc. That's what this is all about. You can actually, the people that say no, you can't do that, it's like challenge, and then these are the steps that we're focused on towards getting towards this goal, and then we'll do the next step and the next step until we get to where we want to, not just for our child but for ourselves and for the whole family. So when you start to think about that, that's what enabling good life principles is all about.
Exactly.
Sorry,
No. EGL talks about choice and control, and we want that for our children when they, of course, at all age, we want the right choice and the right control for the right age. And so we also talk about how, as parents, we hand this over to our children. So we have the model of handing over choice and control. And I know that there's some parents who are worried and say, oh no, but how can my child know to make these decisions? The earlier we start, the better it is, because we make small mistakes at the beginning. Do you want a sandwich like this or a sandwich like that? But so at least you learn, making mistakes and living by your decisions, etc. But we have a model that explains how we hand over choice and control, and that's the basics of a good life for an adult. So that's we start young. And that's another premise of EGL is start early.
And another thing is, like, it's normal to make mistakes. They're the things we learn from.
Yeah.
And we cost it our children. I'm putting my hand up here. I'm guilty of it, and this teaches us, making mistakes is okay. It's like, what do you want? How do you want it? Rather than me holding the reins and worrying so much. It's just wonderful and freeing to go, I need to let my child be, however they want to be. I don't want them to end up in jail or anything like that, and I will work not to allow that to happen. But there's little things that I can do so that I can hear her more strongly in her voice, in what's being said, and how she wants to be.
Mm-hmm. And the program is recognized by Manawanui. I checked that with Marsha before we started. So if you want to, you can use your individualized funding to register for the program, and that's one of that's what's really, really awesome. If you have a little bit of funding left over from one period, use it to make some good plans. Use it to think about a more inspiring goals. So yeah, we have this funding mechanism in New Zealand. That's awesome. Let's use it
and start with intent right from the start. Plan your year with a bit of visioning and planning at the start of your budgeting year.
Mm-hmm. So I see there is a question in the chat. How does now next help children solve problem and collaborate with a parent or caregiver? So at so the very first program is for parents of very young children. So we obviously work mostly with the parents so that the parent can give some of those skills to the children. And the second program that we have that Janine alluded to at the beginning is called Child Voice. That's for parents of in transitioning to school or already at school. And that's what it's so important to help to teach children to make goals. So at the beginning, they make choices, and then we coach the parents on helping them to understand how to solve problems and collaborate with the parents. So we don't work directly with the children because we think it's not the way to go. The way to go is through the parent. The parent has to build this relationship where they talk about goals with their children from as early on as possible. But we've had people who start this with their children were in their 30s. And now what Janine is showing you is one of the exercises of the book. By the way, you get as part of the workshop, you get a coloring book. So we don't give you just random slides, but it's a coloring book. So it's a mindfulness book through which you follow the program and you do exercises, etc. So what Janine is showing now is using a positive psychology exercise called the signature strength exercise. So that's an exercise that is evidence-based, based on the data from over 2 million people. It works. It's very strong. What it does is it pulls out of you your own signature, your own strength, and understand which, we all have a mix of 24 strengths. They're different for each other. So Simon's got different strengths than me. We bring them in different situations. And the key is to recognize how we can bring those strengths to address new goals. So that also answers Rob new love question before. How do we help the children? Is that we help the children understand what their strengths are and how they can bring them at school or at home. So we use positive psychology exercises, and we have templates that help you that unpack goals, a big goal into a small goals. We have an exercise that Janine is showing you now. That's a well-being exercise. So you design your own well-being dashboard and the one of your child. So how to increase your well-being as you go, because well-being is part of achieving.
And drawing beautiful pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But those pictures are while you're thinking about what's, you need time to process what's going on and everything else. So, quite often you're doodling while your brain is assimilating as well, which I think is really
it's a significant mind shift because we're not used to thinking like this. But now we think of how do we bring our strength and harness our strength and bring them to these new situations to help our children flourish and our family flourish. Rob is asking, is positive psychology behavioral focused? There's a part of it that has to do with behavior, but as I, for instance, talked about before, there's, for instance, the idea of strength. So if you recognize your strength, yes, they can help you in your behavior, but it's not, I wouldn't call it a behavior theory like applied behavior analysis, etc. It's about the science of well-being and how we increase our well-being doing different things different ways. So behavior is obviously a part of it because our behavior, what we do will impact on our well-being, but it's not a behavior theory as such. Rob, if you want to ask me more questions, I'll be happy to answer those questions in the comments later.
Simon speaking. Thank you very much, Anik, and thank you, Rob, for those beautiful questions. We are just about to hit 5 o'clock, so let's go over the key details, right? So if there is somebody who is watching this and is wanting to get involved, what is the easiest way to get in touch and get started on their journey?
Mm-hmm.
Tommy.
Yeah, so I put a link in the stream. Now I can't see it as I go down, but that's the link that I gave you earlier, Simon.
I'll put it in there again.
Yes, if you could put it in there. If you scroll down that link, there is the dates of workshops that we created specially for New Zealand, and so we have a program that's specially created. A summer program. So some people like to go to the beach and do nothing, and other people think, oh, I'm going to do something for myself, for my family during the summer. So we have a special summer school program, and I think it will go very well with the beach as well. So, yeah.
Think of it as respite, people. However you want to do it, whenever you want to do it, we'll find a way to make it happen. But it's respite with intent, I reckon.
So if you click on that link and you scroll down that page, you'll see the dates for New Zealand. So for parents of young children, now next program 8 session, 4 Tuesdays and 4 Fridays in January. So it's a total of 16 hours by Zoom. And so there is a link to which you can register, or you can ask for more details. And then there is the second one for parents of children transitioning to school. That's a shorter program, Child Voice program, 4 sessions, and it's also in January. So come, bring it on, January learning.
Simon speaking. Thank you, Annie. Just before we go, there was one final question. Frit has said, is the course only available for parents of children with disabilities? My wife and I are both disabled adults and could do with some guidance on goal setting.
Absolutely. We absolutely welcome you. In fact, we have been talking all the time about we're piloting constantly versions for adults. But if you want to join us, yes, we have a version for adults. But if you want to join us this summer, Janine will make sure that you get the best out of it.
100%. Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Connect on the link. Love to see you.
Perfect.
Yeah,
All right.
if anybody is interested, either you click on the RSVP link or just write in the comments, please. I'd like to hear more. We'll be watching the comments in the Facebook Live.
Simon speaking. Awesome. Thank you very much, Anik, Aram, and Janine. Thank you very much for coming along. It's been a lovely time talking to you all and understanding a little bit more about what you do, and I honestly think it will benefit a lot of our Manawanui customers and just the disability community in general. So we're happy to give you a platform to share the message. So please get in touch through the links that we've provided, or you can message our Facebook page and I will connect you up with one of the ladies directly. But that is us for this afternoon here at Manawanui. Thank you very much. We have our final live stream next week, Tuesday. We have the whole exec crew coming along. Marsha, Neil and Susie will be joining me in Santa hats, I've been promised. So we'll be getting in the festive spirit because it is our last live stream of the year, and I can't wait to wrap up and review a crazy year that's been 2022. But thank you again to the ladies who have joined me. Have a lovely afternoon, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Ka kite.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kia ora.